Ngowi TV, informed economists and business perspective.
In the first place, please, you have to follow university-specific in-house style. Every university has its own style on writing dissertation.
But also poor proposal writing, also lack of concentration on the dissertation. People don't concentrate on writing whatever they want to write.
But also the length, maximum and minimum number of pages. You understand from Mzumbe, I think you know the number. Follow the guideline. You cannot submit a dissertation which is 30 pages, which is 20 pages, and however good it will be. This is not a term paper. So follow those things, my friends. And I've been telling some of you that there is no way I can accept this week because you have not met the minimum number of pages.
Language problems, lack of focus, you see, it brings errors. We'll say someone is not focusing on the objectives, but also ignoring the guidelines of the university is another problem.
You have to read a lot, really, in order to be able to give a proper introduction and background and the context of this chapter. You have to understand issues. What some people do is copy-pasting. Yeah, because I'm writing on SME, then everything on SME is copy and pasted there. That is wrong.
Don't hire writers, please. Write yourself. You know, if you write yourself, you shall be given a task, maybe by UN or by whatever organization, international. You can do it yourself.
Sometimes really it will be a course just on literature review, on critiquing the literature. Yes, XYZ has said this and that on this matter that I'm writing. So critique, give your own view, give your own opinion. Don't cite.
B flat for masters, that is poor grade. If you B flat, for you, focus on A first, and then B by accident, B plus by accident. No B flat. That should be your motto.
That's why I'm saying after your findings, my friend, you should not just say hallelujah, that's it. Go back to the literature and say, what did the literature say? What are my findings are? To what extent are we speaking the same language? Don't force your findings to be similar to the literature. Otherwise, there would be no need of going to the field anyway.
Is it good spelling? That's what you do, because that is your field. You see, eh? Because I've seen some people write per capita income. They say per capita income. So instead of having capita, they capital. You see, eh? So those things have to be there, because I'm the language person.
And someone tells me, but you're using a lot of effort. Why don't you put the full stop for me here? The master's thesis is not for me. I have mine already. It's yours. You have to know why the dot should be here, why the question mark should be here. Chapter 5 is normally on analysis and discussion of findings, and really this is very important. What I've been really quarreling with you guys, and you understand, is please discuss, analyze. Don't just give me findings. Don't just copy-paste the findings and put them there. So analyze and discuss the findings in the context of your study topic. You had a study topic anyway. So if I see findings that have nothing to do with the study topic, it's a problem. It's a problem, really. You know, your findings have to be related to your objective. You had objectives. Now, when you are studying, you are discussing your findings, relate them to your objectives so that I can see this coherence. That's what I'm saying. Once I've accepted your research methodology up to the methodology chapter, your proposal, you are not done yet. Once, when you go to the field, when you get your findings, you have to revisit the literature. You have to revisit the objectives, the questions, and tell me to what extent are they speaking the same language. You have to relate it, for example, to your literature hypothesis. Do not just report or list down and enumerate findings. Because some say 10 people said business environment is good. 60 people said it is difficult to access capital. 70 people say the business environment is not good. That is not good enough for me. This is should I call it standard 2 reporting, primary school reporting, undergraduate reporting, even undergraduate will demand more. But then for masters, really, you have to analyze, you have to discuss in the context of you have to interpret, actually, in the context of the bigger study issues that you wanted. So interpret your findings in the context of your study. And this is here where originality comes in. That is where you interpret. Some of you, you have been reporting, and I have been telling you, and what do these numbers tell us? As a reader, when you are telling me business environment is increasingly difficult or easy, so what? You have to answer the so what question. Because at the end of the day, you will be coming with a recommendation, to policy and decision makers. Yeah, they'll tell you, yes, business environment, 60 people out of 100 say business environment is difficult. They say, you guys who are doing, some of you wrote on the tax, collecting revenue using electronic fiscal device and the challenges of accepting, the rejection of use of EFD. The traders are saying no to use because of cost, because of price. So what? Some of you, friends, we submitted a paper to Madagascar. Let's cross fingers, and Tanara River. Two of you, we wrote a paper on tax, and then we went as far as writing a paper, and we have submitted to a conference in Madagascar. And some of you, if you are fast enough, we can keep on submitting. There are a number of conferences that are coming. Mzumbe is organizing a conference in Arusha, I think sometimes in September. We still have room to submit. That's the level that I want you guys to come in. So what we did, we summarized a report. Who are you? Where are you guys? The TRI people? Yes, we are still crossing fingers. We may go to Antananarivo, and Lumumba, you may be taking our bags. So on a serious note now, if you tell me it's difficult, traders are saying it's difficult now to collect revenue using EFD, it's not good enough. What message are we telling to the Commissioner General of TRI? That's where you use your brain. That's why your originality comes in. So don't just report. Don't just list down. I've been telling you, write in paragraph, not just a kind of bullets. I want to. This is a master's level, my friend. Even for undergraduate level, I want to give marks, let alone for you guys who are master's level. Yeah, very few people are of as higher education as you are. So you have to make sure that this thing, as I said earlier, when it comes out, it will be bearing your name. It will be bearing the name of your supervisor. It will be bearing the name of all the people that you have acknowledged there. And of course, you don't like to tarnish their name by having something that doesn't make sense. So critically problematize and make sense out of your findings. Always answer the so what question. Viren, you are doing this thing on the banking and the growth of banks, CRDB specifically. Of course, it's a case study. You cannot generalize it to everybody else. But yeah, tell me if these have been the key issues in the growth of banking sector in Tanzania for the past 20 years, the case of CRDB. What does it tell us, broadly speaking, in the context of CRDB? If Mr. Kimei would come here and tell, so this is your finding, what are you advising me? So I see you, I may be called you to present paper on industrialization. I say, my friend, my student George did this study, and this was his recommendation. I say, go and speak on my behalf. You get my point, So own the work. You have to be sure that you analyze. So analysis and discussion again, do not force findings again, as I've said here. If you did not finding what you expected, it is a finding as well. You get my point? I've seen people forcing that, women entrepreneurs have problem in accessing capital. And they went there, women were awash with capital. They had more than enough capital. Women entrepreneurs are not doing cross-border trade. They went, they saw they're doing a lot of cross-border trade. So they come, but then the findings are not as per my assumption. It is you who is wrong, it is not them who are wrong. You get my friend? So, those who have been doing a newspaper, I don't know, but we have somebody in the Daily News, I'm not sure if she is here, I think was told to go and get news in a house of a certain boss, for example, Mtafia. And then immediately when he went there, this guy, not Mtafia, but then if I was the news, when he went there, Mtafia did not like to be recorded, just for example. And what did he do? He opened the dogs' gates, and the dogs attacked the journalist. The journalist went back to the editor and said, there was no news. I was chased by dogs. In fact, being chased by dogs is the news itself. Are you getting my point? So don't say Mtafia did XYZ, go and report. Mtafia's dogs attacked the journalist. That is a finding by itself. So, my friend, don't force the findings. All we are saying, don't go with what we call predetermined findings. Don't have findings there and then find a methodology to justify the findings. Go empty, kind of empty your head and let the findings that you get in the field, it should be the ones that are reported. So, do not assume that the reader, especially the examiner, understands and knows what you want to communicate in their mind. Take effort and trouble to convince the readers and make them understand well what you want to communicate. Yeah, reading through, I understand what you guys wanted to say, but I sometimes really, I don't see efforts. I don't see you people struggling to communicate what you wanted to communicate clearly. Yeah, it's like you are writing and say, he will just understand, he will just understand. Make sure that when I'm reading, don't say, after all, he's a professor of economics, and I don't understand anything when I'm reading your work. When I'm reading your work, I'm what you call a tabula rasa. Tabula rasa, somebody who doesn't know anything. Yes, I'm an expert in economics. I'm an expert in FDI, foreign investment. I'm an expert in entrepreneurship. But when I'm reading it, I'm totally ignorant. I wanted to learn from your work. Mtafia, you understand. I know very well issues of business environment. Viren, you understand. I know well issues of bank. My friends, you know, I know a lot of things when it comes to taxation. But when I'm reading it, I assume that I'm totally ignorant. I want to say, to what extent are you telling me what you have found? At what extent do I understand you? So the more I struggle to understand you, the fewer marks you get. You get my point, yeah? Yes, the more I struggle to understand you, the fewer marks you get. And I'm sure it's the same for external examiner. If I have to read it 2, 3, 4, 5 times to understand you, it will correspond to the marks that you are getting. Why? You have not made yourself clear. And remember, at the end of the day, there will be a viva, there will be oral examination down there. This is a very good thing where you are going to present your work. If I have to ask the same question 2, 3, 4 times in order to get an answer, there is a problem. You know, you have to be sharp. You have to communicate immediately. I don't need to struggle to understand what you wanted to say. I don't need to call you. Sometimes I give people phone call. Now, open your proposal, page 30. What did you want to say? If I do that, some marks have gone up. And I don't like this to happen, friends. I don't like this to happen. You know, it is you who should struggle. When I taught you managerial economics, when I taught you entrepreneurship, I taught you also on how to answer exams. And the language that I used, I say, lazima ujikombe, you know. You have to struggle. You have to make sure that you convince the reader. You convince, before remember, it's not only me who is going to read. Because you say, after all, he has read 2, 3 versions of my work. So you understand. How about the external examiner who is going to encounter this work for the first time? How about the critics out there 10 years down the line once you have graduated, when you are vying for that constituency, when you are vying for presidency? I don't think you'll be doing that 2020, but maybe 2040 in Amala. Yeah, so what happens, will come with your dissertation and I say, but this is the dissertation that I wrote. And I will cooperate in giving them your dissertation, sir. After all, it will be made public by then. So think big, really. Don't just think, I've been telling you guys, don't write your dissertation in order to get marks. You are beyond that level. You are bigger, much, much bigger than that. Think of the broader world out there. Yeah, Viren. New banks will be coming. They will be finding somebody who has written on banks. My friend at the airport, you know, sometimes you want somebody to manage the airports. You know, I can see they're extending. But sometimes if I'm in the interview panel, I say, why? But let's see at his dissertation first to see how he has written it. And I say, you wanted to give him this big job for this kind of work that he wrote? And I would recommend don't give him the job. And I don't like that to happen. That's why we are here. Are you getting me, friends? We are here for a very good cause. So discuss what you have in tables and graphs, because what I'm seeing is people just saying table 2 and then just figures. And there is nothing. You don't tell me anything. Yes, you give me the age structure correspondent, you give me the gender correspondent, you give me maybe, for example, those who are doing tax, the way tax has been increasing or decreasing after using of electronic fiscal device. I say, okay, but then what does this tell me in the context of your work? Yes, revenue has increased. What does it mean? Is it good news to the taxman? Is it bad news? What is it really? You know, you give me the number, of businessmen and women in Kariakoo. Masonobo, where are you? Where is our admin in our group? Where is our admin? A good shepherd should know his or her sheep. Yeah. So yeah, no, I'm not saying this because of anything, but she did something on Kariakoo. Now, one from Kariakoo saying so many traders don't like to use EFD because of cost, because of operation, because of network. So what is it that we wanted to advise the Minister for Finance when it comes to those things? Those of you, one of my friends, you did your study on VAT on auxiliary services. Where are you? On the pot, yeah. And of course, it was, Serekali Kuwai. Before your study came out, the government removed it. Now that's exactly what I'm saying. It's good that you kept on, because if you're not consistent, you would say, Malim, now I'm giving my report, but then the government has removed the auxiliary tax on export on goods on transit. And it did this only in June when you had submitted your work. There is no way you can rework. But what I'm expecting you now is to update a little bit, saying, when I submitted my work, this was the situation. Auxiliary good was charged 18%. Before the final work, in the final financial year, new findings came in, the government removed the 18%. If I don't see it, my friend, some few marks gone away. So, so that's what I'm saying. Discuss issues. Discuss. And you discuss using your own words. That is really where I see originality. And that's what I appreciate. However bad, try to put something there. However bad it may be, in terms of whatever language originality. I understand maybe it's first time we are writing a study of this type, but please do something. What does it tell the reader in the context of your research? Remember, at the end of the day, it is these findings that you're going to use to give a policy advice, policy recommendation. So, and you are going to see the chapter of recommendation. As a policymaker, as the Minister for Finance, I'll tell you, so why are you telling me to give more education on EFD? Where do I find it in this work? So you should be able to tell me, go to page, call it 50, table 1, when 70% of taxpayers are saying do not have enough education on tax on EFD, then the implication is let us introduce these things. A question of number of recommendations, a question of number of conclusions, but common sense will tell you normally we expect several conclusions. After all, you had 3 objectives, 4 objectives. Well, giving one conclusion does not make so much sense. Giving only one recommendation does not make sense. So, in conclusion, normally I would say there are more than one. Now, don't go and force a second conclusion if after making thorough analysis you see there is only one conclusion, and I ask you, and where is the second one coming from? You say, Mwalimu, you said so. No, that's not the matter. It should come automatically. As you are saying, really, these conclusions should be based on the findings of your research. You are concluding according to your research. That's why I'm writing it in capital letter, your research. Don't conclude because you find somebody who wrote on EFD, he concluded in XYZ, and you go and pick the recommendations that they had and you put it in your work. Remember, contexts are very different, objectives you are very different, timings you are very different. So conclusion really should be derived from your own work. That's why I'm saying it's not so easy. Once you have written your work, maybe you have to read it 2, 3, 4, 5 times so to see, if these are the issues, if these were the objectives, if these are the findings, what am I concluding? Remember, you are becoming an authority in there. When it comes to your dissertation, actually, you are the master, you are the boss. Yeah, anybody who would like to get a piece of advice on the topic that you wrote on, indeed, you should be the first point of call. Yeah? If you write your thesis, for example, on Chinese-owned businesses, and they go to find a recommendation from somebody who has not written on this topic, there is a problem in your work. So, it must be based on your findings and revisit the whole report and conclude accordingly. It's not just the question of saying, okay, now I'm going to write the conclusion chapter. That's not the point. Conclusion chapter is informed by the findings chapter. Conclusion is also informed by the methodology, is also informed by the literature, is also informed by the hypothesis, by the assumptions that you made. So once you have written everything, don't say, some people say, hey, I call some of you, I say, I'm done almost 90%, Mwalimu. Why? Because it's the only conclusion that is remaining. It's not that easy. It's not that easy. I told you when I'm writing these works, abstract, which is actually a very summary, 300 words, out of the 80,000 words, I may use 2, 3, 4, 5, maybe 2 weeks, 3 weeks to write the 800 words, and I may use even a week, really, to write the 300 words. You get my point? So concluding, really, it should come from you. You should extract it from your work, and it should not be copy pasting. You know, again. You have to tell us in your conclusion, what did you intended to research on? What were the objectives? This was objective number one. What are you concluding on this objective? You wanted to find out whether SME is a problem in accessing capital. So what are you concluding now? Yes, you found that they don't have access to capital. So what? What are you telling us as a result of this finding? What did you find out? You know, what are the key findings? What sense, what conclusion are you making out of all this? You know, at the end of the day, the so what question, you know. And I'm sure when it comes to research, to your viva, to your presentation, there is no way you can escape telling us, yes, you have done all this study. What are you concluding? Now, if you have to open your book to find a conclusion, there is a problem. You copy-pasted it, really. So you have to own it, really. It has to flow logically. Again, it must be derived again based on your own findings. Give very specific policy recommendations, for example. You know, giving this blanket recommendation that we should expand tax base, we should give more education to taxpayers. It's not good enough. Who? You may not necessarily go and say Mr. Kayombo has to do that because it's tax education, but then give us specifically who, which part of the government, which part of the private sector, which part of civil society are you advising to do that? George, you are writing something on industrialization, the challenges that are coming. If you say now we have to give a good environment for industries to grow, who are you telling that? Is it for TRI? Is it for Minister of Finance? Is it for Minister of that deals with legal issues? Who specifically are you telling us? So give recommendations for further research as well, based on your work. Most of you guys, you have written recommendations, and I normally put the comment. How about how about a recommendation for further study? Why? Your own study cannot turn around all the stones. There will be stones that are unturned after finishing your work. You cannot cover each and everything anyway. So there are issues that really will need to be studied further based on your study. Don't go to some other people's work, copy paste the areas for further research and put them there. The context was different anyway. Maybe what you did is exactly what they recommended as area for further study, and then you come and recommend exactly that while you have done it. So really, area for further research, it's up to you saying, yes, this is what I wanted. This is what I covered. But given the limitations, financial, time and all this, these are issues that I think they still need further research by others. Or you, when you come for your PhD, the doors are open. And upon graduation, please take the forms there for your PhD. And you can even carry further your study to PhD level, you know, moving from where you left. And when you'll be writing your proposal, you say, according to Kashuliza 2017, according to Amani 2017, according to Zephania 2017, these are issues that need to be further researched, and I've decided to research them further. So those kind of stuff. So do not force recommendations. I think I've said here, they should not be predetermined exactly. That's, you know, you should not, you know, when you're starting your study, you should say, I have to recommend this. You know, those of us who went to English debating clubs when we were younger, when we were boys and girls, you know, there were English words. You say, I have to mention this word in this debate, even if the context is not there, you know, in order to show that you know English, you know. We did those of us went to, Sabila is an expert in English, and we know those kind, you know, people have said, no, this word, very makangability, I have to mention it, even if the context is not correct, you know. But no. In research, my friend, you should not force recommendation. Recommendation should automatically come out of your work. You know, if there is something that you thought was important and it's not there, you have no base. Because what I'm saying here, you should be able to defend your recommendations. Because when you come, some of you have been asking, yes, you are recommending this, but then on what basis? On what basis? Where are you getting this recommendation? And you will be coming to oral examination. It will be going to external examiner. They will ask if they are critical, and I know they are critical. They will say, yes, you are recommending this. But from which finding, my friend? You are recommending taxpayers to be given more education. Nowhere in your study where we have seen that there is a problem on this. Zephaniah, you are recommending on issues of contract, for efficient contract management. Maybe we need more, contractual knowledge. And in your findings, there is nothing. But the thing is, you went in some other study and found someone who recommended that, and because you wanted to fill in the pages, you put there. So really, you have to derive it. So please, when you walk out from here, I know some of you have gone through your report second times, you'll have to go and redo your work for the days that you have, and then do exactly what's here.